everyone. Today I'm going to be teaching you a problem on the difference between individual sample proportions. So the problem is, in one state, 52% of voters are Republicans and 48% are Democrats. In the second state, 47% of the voters are Republicans and 53% are Democrats. Suppose a simple random sample of 100 voters are surveyed from each state. What is the probability that the survey will show a greater percentage of Republican voters in the second state than in the first? A, 0.04, B, 0.05, C, 0.24, D, 0.71, E, 0.76. So our goal for this problem is to find the probability that the percentage of Republican voters in the first state is less than the percentage of Republican voters in the second state. Another way to rewrite this is P1 minus P2 is less than 0. Now that we've rewritten the problem, we can use a z-score to find the probability that P1 minus P2 is less than 0. However, to use the formula, we have to make sure that the population times the proportion of both samples is greater than 10, as well as the population times 1 minus the percentage chance of Republican voters is greater than 10. In our case, P1 is equal to 0.52 and P2 is equal to 0.47, so they pass the test. Our next step is to find the mean of the difference in sample proportions, which is P1 minus P2, which equals 0.05. Next step to finding the z-score is to find the standard deviation of the difference in sample proportions. This formula is P1 times 1 minus P1 over 100, which is the sample size, plus P2 times 1 minus P2 over the sample size, and to take the square root of that. Plugging in the numbers, we get the standard deviation of the difference in sample proportions is 0.0706. Z-score formula, which allows us to find the probability that P1 minus P2 is less than 0, involves X, which is what we want the difference to be, minus what the mean difference is over the standard deviation of the difference in sample proportions. Finding all the numbers, we can finally figure out the z-score. So X is 0 because that's what we want the difference between P1 and P2 to be, minus 0.05, which is the mean of the difference in sample proportions, divided by the standard deviation of the difference in sample proportions. And after that, we get negative 0.71 as the z-score. So after using a z-score table, I found out that the probability that z is less than negative 0.71 to be 24%. And now going back to the problem, we find that answer C is also 0.24 or 24%. And now going to the solution, we also find that the correct answer is C.